4 downs right now, college football week 4 takeaways, and there are several, one of which is very, very helpful for the Vols. 4 downs is brought to you by our friends at Tennessee Cider Company. Here we go.
4 downs. 4 questions. 4 answers. The Dave Hooker Show.
4
downs. A presentation of offthehooksports.com.
All righty, 4 downs. We're going to discuss the best conference, the best team, most disappointing team, and why there is one team's outcome over the week that really helps Tennessee. So let's get to week 4 takeaways, brought to you by Tennessee Cider Company, the original hard cider of the Smoky Mountains. Use the promo code HAT, that's HAT, to receive some free swag with your cider order, available most anywhere in the U.S. You can actually order this awesome cider, and when you put in HAT, you get a free hat. So how cool is that? Let's get to Cooper Mays, who maybe we'll get some sort of an injury update on him this week. We shall see. But Coop, what should people do?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
All right, we'll do that. What down is it, Coop?
Coop here. First down.
All right, week 4 takeaways on offthehooksports.com. Let's go through this. The best conference is blank.
It's the one that's dying. It's the Pac-12.
I know.
It's like
weird.
This is
like why couldn't you guys have done that like 5 years ago?
Right? I mean, and by the way, these games have been epic. Who watched that Washington State-Oregon State game on Saturday? And we're going to get to the Heisman races, but that was a fun game to watch over the weekend.
Yep.
Yes,
no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And more takeaways. Let's go to second down, brought to you by Coop. Oh, where's there?
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
Second down. Cooper doesn't bring the energy as much on second down as he does the other downs. This is kind of a middle down. The best team in the nation is blank.
Is this best by power ranking or best by who should be number 1 on resume?
Take it where you want to go, sir. I still think it's Georgia.
Power ranking, it's Georgia. But, and you guys will see this, in a ranking, a top 10, Georgia is not in my top 10 right now. They don't belong in the top 10. Neither does Michigan, neither does USC, and neither does Oklahoma. None of those teams have played anybody worth getting into the top 10. So based on actual top 10 resume, there's a top 4. Florida State, Texas, Ohio State, Utah. Clear-cut top 4, no questions. There's nobody else is in for a debate right now for the top 4.
Okay. Third down, Coop.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
The most disappointing team in the nation is?
The most disappointing team in the nation is Clemson. It's got to be Clemson.
Yeah, it's Clemson, which is huge for Tennessee because they can recruit that area. I believe it is Clemson. I believe that's done. I believe the same thing is what happened to Philip Fulmer when David Cutcliffe took the Ole Miss job, and he comes back in 2006, and Tennessee's offense is rolling again. It's the ability to hand something off to someone, just like we did with recruiting coverage that you can follow on offthehooksports.com with Caleb Giroux. I don't have to worry about it. And it's when David Cutcliffe left, there was a big void to fill. So Brent Venables left Clemson. There's a big, big void to fill. You suddenly are not just replacing a coordinator, you're replacing a very good coordinator. And I think by the hire that they made, what's his name? Help me with the offensive coordinator.
Garrett Riley, who is not as good as I thought.
Yeah, he's not. And I think they're grasping at straws to say, hey, let's go up tempo and do what everybody else is doing. So
Third and 1, fourth and 1, and you throw it twice in overtime. And it cost me money on that too. How does Garrett Riley get to keep his money? He should get a pay cut because he cost me money. Okay.
Caleb, do you have a problem? What down is it, Coop?
All SEC center Cooper Mays here. Fourth down.
Dion is a blank. And now this helps Tennessee. There's no question about it. This helps Tennessee because Boo Carter has shown interest in Colorado, but Deion Sanders is a blank.
Predictable. Anybody who actually looked at Colorado and Oregon this year knew that 3-0 was a possible start, and Oregon would be their first real test. And Oregon doesn't have any horses in the trenches whatsoever, right? I mean, not Oregon, excuse me. Colorado has no horses in the trenches whatsoever. So I just think he was predictable.
Levi says that Tennessee has to be up there on the disappointing team list. I don't see that. I mean, the loss to Florida was disappointing, and I think the offense is different. It's just not as exciting.
Yeah, you can't just do one loss. Alabama and LSU all have one loss too in games they were favored in. Clemson has lost 2 games. Now, true, they were underdogs to Florida State, but honestly, they were playing Florida State at home. If Clemson wasn't a program on the decline, they won that game.
Yep,
they are.
Ohio State wins the day as your number 1 college football takeaway. They do, but again, I don't think there's an elite team in college football. Notre Dame, Clemson coached away games.
Basically, I talked about Clemson. Marcus Freeman. I'm not sure. One of the one things casual fans say that they're right on every time that I hate to say they're right. Dave, rushing 3 on a 3rd and long, obvious passing down never works. When you're going to do a 3-man rush, it needs to be a disguised coverage that catches somebody off guard on a timed route. Otherwise, you're giving away 3 guys. Might as well just drop all 11 back on defense.
That would be weird. Is the Florida State-Miami rivalry back? It's never going to be like it was, though.
Both undefeated. Could be on a collision course.
Yep. ACC basketball schools are full of football powers. I don't know football.
Louisville, Duke, UNC are undefeated.
Yeah,
if Miami and Florida State are to face off undefeated, one's got to get by Duke, one's got to get by UNC.
Yeah, and Drake May's a player, man. Drake May at North Carolina. If you haven't watched him play, tell me, watch him over the weekend or go back and watch highlights and tell me he doesn't remind you a little bit of John Elway. Undefeated Pac-12 teams are still flying under the radar. That is true.
Utah's just beat Chip Kelly without – they don't have Cam Rising yet, and they beat 2 top 25 teams without their quarterback. And Washington State is one of the remaining Pac-12 teams that hasn't gotten into another conference yet, balling.
And we mentioned back to reality for Colorado, Georgia, Michigan, USC, and Oklahoma have still proven nothing. Agreed. The Alabama quarterback situation is settled, but not good. I want to get into that more later in the week. In your Heisman race, you would have Cameron Ward of Washington State, number 1, Michael Penix, number 2, Caleb Williams, Quinn Ewers of Texas, number 4, and Jordan Travis of number 5. I don't start thinking about Heisman until we get into November, really. But as far as the top 10, you've got Florida State number 1, and I give you kudos because you were really down on the Seminoles before the season. And look at you, you're coming around now.
This isn't projection based or analysis based. This is resume based. Florida State has beaten LSU and they've beaten Clemson. Who else has a better resume at this moment in time? I mean, I know it's not Clemson, but it's still Clemson. So, yeah, Florida State's clearly number 1. Texas beating Alabama on the road counts. Ohio State beating Notre Dame. Ohio State has 2 more. The only tough games they have until Michigan now are Penn State. And if you want to consider Maryland for being undefeated, but both teams are going to Columbus. So they're going to win both of those games. Utah's number.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Utah number 4, UNC number 5, Penn State 6, Oregon 7, Washington State 8, Miami 9, Washington 10.
Wow, College Game Day is going to Duke.
I mean, Mike Elko has done a heck of a job there. Now, we should all give David Cutcliffe put the infrastructure in place at Duke. It didn't finish probably the way he would have liked it to, but David Cutcliffe spent, I can tell you, you know this, Dave, better than I do. He spent 15 years of hard labor putting an infrastructure in place at Duke for them to actually be decent in football. I mean, he started traditions there that they never had before.
And I don't think it ended necessarily I mean, you said ended, that it kind of implies that he got fired. I think it was mutual. I mean, David's getting up there, and we visited with him at SEC Media Days, and I think he was ready to step away from coaching, whether that's coming off an undefeated season or, as they did, a slightly disappointing season. I think he was ready. I think that they say mutual a lot of times, Caleb, and that's a lot of bull for the most part, because you don't want to make a coach look bad. But in this particular case, I think it was absolutely true.